Good afternoon. This is a public hearing for the Comprehensive Plan Docket Item CPA-1, an update to the Olympia Joint Plan. This meeting is being televised via the Thurston County YouTube channel. I'm Carolina Mejia. I'm the chair of the board. To my right is Vice Chair Ty Menser. To my left is Commissioner Gary Edwards. And we are having some technical issues via Zoom. I'm going to pass it to the county manager.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon. For those members of the public who have joined us via the Zoom option this afternoon, we have some issues related to the video feed here in the boardroom. So we will call your name if you'd like to testify on this matter. But we can see you and we can hear you. But unfortunately, you will not be able to see the board members this afternoon. But the board members can hear you on your testimony. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, with that, we'll go ahead and get started. It is August 1st, 2023. It is 3:33 p.m. The purpose of this public hearing is to accept and consider public testimony on the proposed update of the Olympia Joint Plan. This is a hybrid public hearing. Those wishing to testify have joined in person by Zoom, emailed comment, or mailed in comment. If you wish to testify, please visit the Thurston County homepage online and select announcements of public hearings. The information to join this public hearing remotely has been posted there. If you do not wish to testify but would like to listen and follow along, please watch the live stream through the Thurston County YouTube channel to help us manage attendance. Staff, Leah Davis, will provide information on this topic. Assuming members of the public on Zoom wish to testify, the county manager will read your name out loud. You will have 4 minutes to testify. Time may not be given to another person. When you're called on, please state your name and address for the record. The clerk of the board will review the timer. The public hearing is now open. Leo Davis will now present background information of the proposal, written comments submitted, and any additional information requested by the board. Leah, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Leah Davis from Community Planning. This public hearing is to accept and consider public testimony on the update of the Olympia Joint Plan. So first, a brief background of the Olympia Joint Plan. The Growth Management Act requires cities and counties to adopt a joint plan. This planning helps residents prepare for if and when areas are annexed into the city. Once adopted, joint plans become an element of the county's and city's comprehensive plans. Thurston County and Olympia first adopted a joint plan in 1994, with the last significant update in 2004. This update that we're working on now will be a full repeal and replacement of the 2004 plan. I'll first provide a brief timeline of the work that we've done on this joint plan update. City of Olympia and Thurston County Planning Commissions held 2 work sessions in October of 2022, and then held a joint public hearing on November 30th of 2022. A post-hearing work session was held January 25th, 2023, where the Planning Commissions made recommendations. The Olympia Planning Commission unanimously recommended adoption of the Olympia Joint Plan. The 8 Thurston County Planning Commissioners recommended adoption with 1 absent. A SEPA determination of non-significance was issued March 8th, 2023. No comments were received through the SEPA process. The Olympia City Council reviewed the Olympia Planning Commission's recommendation and in April provided a recommendation directly to the board. And in May, through a staff briefing, the Board of County Commissioners reviewed the Planning Commission and City Council recommendations before moving forward to schedule this public hearing. The changes in this joint plan update include updated formatting, updated background information, which includes population and housing projections, land capacity, and consideration for current conditions. Specific additions to this joint plan are goals and policies for climate mitigation and affordable housing. Additionally, there is 1 citizen-initiated proposed amendment included in the review of this joint plan. Sometimes it's referred to as the Glenmore Village proposal. the owner of a parcel, parcel number 095700380002 at Yelm Highway and Rich Road, requested to change the zoning from planned development to professional office and multifamily housing, with an associated zoning change from community-oriented shopping center to professional office, residential, multifamily. An alternative option to the rezone is a minor code amendment that removes the requirement for a grocery store on that parcel, while the land use and zoning of the property are kept as is and maintains the intent of that zone. It's important that you know staff performed the following notice in preparation for this public hearing. On July 6th, a legal notice was published in the Olympian. A web mailer was sent to all residents who are interested. A postcard was sent to Glenmore Village residents, and a Thurston County press release was issued on July 20th. All materials were made available online prior to all of that noticing. To date, we have received 5 comments, none in favor or against. They were merely just comments about suggestions of things, specific concerns in the urban growth area. Staff has scheduled a board briefing for August 24th to discuss public comment received at today's hearing and to receive preliminary direction from the board on the final joint plan. The final action of the Olympia joint plan will occur with all other comprehensive plan amendments at the annual comp plan update near the end of this year. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Leah. Commissioner Edwards,
No,
questions?
good explanation. No questions, thank you.
Commissioner Mensah?
Yes, so I'm curious, I guess, about, you mentioned that one of the elements is like land capacity, population estimate, whatnot, and there was some public comment around that element, and I don't know, I guess that confused me a little bit, because it's not what I focused on when I think of the joint plans and what they do. And it seems like that overlaps with, I'm trying to think what other plan it is I'm thinking of where we're doing, urban growth area, population estimates, TRPC does its studies, buildable lands, all that stuff. It seemed like a lot of what they were talking about overlapped with that. Is that right?
Yeah, the data that is for that element, the land capacity, population, housing projections, all come from the Buildable Lands Report that TRPC researches and provides the data to us. And that helps us determine if the urban growth area is large enough for projected growth and the different kinds of growth, commercial, industrial, residential.
So this would be a place where we would look and go and say, oh, we need to expand the UGA or because there's not enough.
That's correct.
And someone made the argument that to her, the numbers were showing a lack of housing availability for the projected population numbers.
Right, right.
Is that true?
No, the projections are accurate. They're from the Buildable Lands Report, and they meet the next 20-year horizon.
Okay, and then there's another comment that was made in that same comment where they were talking about need to increase density of zoning, and I thought Olympia had recently done just that, but it sounded like they weren't seeing that in the draft plan. Or
I haven't read that comment in a while.
Yeah.
And I don't think, if there were any zoning issues that Olympia had changed or zoning designations they changed, they would have asked us to change them.
Okay.
And there were none of those to update.
It says, like this, just so you know what I'm talking about, it says this plan does not mention the need to increase UGA density, which is 68% low-density single-family homes. That means the amount of space for the planned population is tight or may even be inadequate. And I guess I'm wondering, did the changes that I understand Olympia made apply to the UGA? No, not necessarily. 'Cause
No,
that's we
no,
would have
not
to
yet.
make.
Although they did say during the Planning Commission process that they were going to take a look at the density, all the different zoning densities, and perhaps adjust those in the future.
That would be something a joint plan would do, right? if we
First, the
want,
city would take the lead on that.
okay,
Yeah, it wouldn't be included with this update. A joint plan update is generally based on the previous comp plan, the information in there. And then the next joint plan update will be based on the next comp plan update. So first the comp plans come along and the joint plans are added into those as a supplement. So they don't get ahead of the comp plans. We don't do joint planning first and then update comp plans. Does that make sense?
yeah, so well, yes, at a high level, but I guess I'm just wondering, and maybe the Olympia representative can weigh in, but I think I know, maybe I'm wrong. I think I know that Olympia increased its density. You know, it was the missing middle debate they had for a number of years, and I think they did something that accomplished that. But that wouldn't apply to the UGA. But then I would think that then them having done that in their city, they'd turn to the joint planning process and say, you know, it would actually be good to do that in the UGA as well. But of course, they'd have to work with us to do that. And we would be discussing that. So I'm just wondering,
Right.
has there been such a discussion? Is there such a desire by Olympia to apply that type of denser zoning to that 68% single family in our UGA? Or is that just not a thing? We're leaving that to Olympia city boundaries and we're not gonna do that in the UGAs at this time?
Well, I did have that discussion with the planner from the city of Olympia and was told there were no required zoning updates for this update. We could ask Joyce Phillips, she's here today. She probably has a better answer for that and how the city's approaching their density.
If she doesn't mind, if that okay?
Let's go ahead.
Hi. Hi, thank you. I'm Joyce Phillips, the principal planner at the City of Olympia. And one of the things you might notice at the tail end of the letter that you received from Mayor Selby expressing the city's support for adopting the joint plan is that we do look forward to also working with the county in the future to update the development codes and development regulations that would apply in the urban growth area. And that would be so that the codes would be more similar to what we allow in the city limits. For example, in our R4 to 8 zoning, we allow more housing types than we used to. And we also have some provisions tied to transfer of development rights that would allow bonus densities and things like that that are not yet applicable in the urban growth area. And then we also have some standards for accessory dwelling units that make it a little bit easier, I think, to build that type of infill housing within the lower density residential zones than were previously adopted by the county to apply in the UGA. So there's a few things that are a bit nuanced, but they wouldn't necessarily require changes to the actual zoning designation. It's more changes in the text of the standards of each of those zones. So there's a few things that could potentially be done in the coming years. We may have to adopt the development regulations to be more similar. One of the things that we had talked with Leah about was that perhaps after the city completes its next periodic update, which would be in June of 2025, then we may have some zoning changes we would like to see associated with the outcome of that update, but we aren't far enough along in that process yet to be able to feel comfortable suggesting that there will or won't be any zoning amendments at that time.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Leah.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Okay, so we'll move on to public testimony now. We will do in person first, and we'll go through the sign-up sheet, and if you didn't get a chance to sign up, I will call on you after that, and then we will move on to Zoom, and the county manager will assist me with calling those who have joined us via Zoom. So first on my list is Tom Schrader. Oh,
Extend it probably too.
Let's go there.
thank you.
Hi, I'm Tom Schrader, 6526 Turnberry Lane Southeast, Olympia 98501. I'm here in front of you to speak about the Glenmore Village text amendment. And if you haven't had a chance to look and drill down on it, I know that Leah said that there was only 5 comments, not really against what I'm trying to accomplish there, which would be the text amendment. Text amendment in this case would be for that plat, would be changing the requirement for a large-scale grocery store, 40,000 square foot or larger, to be a requirement of that plat. The plat, Glenmore Village plat, started out in 2006 as a 14-acre plat. Right now, the only portion that is not developed, some of the residential portion is still available, but it's 90-some% developed. My 9 acres is undeveloped, and it's the property that, if you go up and down Yelm Highway around the 4th of July, you'll see fireworks stands there and a lot of cars parked there. So it's on the corner of Rich Road and Yelm Highway. But so the requirement of a grocery store was put on years ago before we had 4 grocery stores within 2 miles of this location. There's not going to be a large-scale grocery store there. The previous owner, before I bought it, had tried for years to try to sell the property and was unable mainly because of that restriction. So, and there's also at Briggs YMCA, it's slated to have another grocery store there, although I understand that that plat's being reviewed for some other items. But, so my request for you is, as commissioners, to review and hopefully accept that the requirement of that grocery store going in of that size be made as optional, not as required.
Any questions?
No, I don't have any
No
questions. Thank you.
questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Next is Mike Barnes.
Mike Barnes, 2820 Hague Drive, 98501. I live on Hague Drive. My concern is if that does get developed, access to this property, if we go to dense housing, will they be allowed to drive through Hague Village to get access onto Hague Drive? Or will it be isolated and only let them enter and exit either on Yelm Highway or Rich Road? As far as if we increase the density to 200 or 300 apartments and 2 cars per apartment, that's my concern. Just to take it into consideration, the extra traffic that might be added onto Hague Drive or through that neighborhood, which, if any of you know, the streets are relatively small and a percentage of residents park their cars on the street, both sides. That's my only concern. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I don't have anyone else on my list, but is there anyone else that would like to provide public testimony at this time? Okay, and so we will move on to Zoom.
Yep, I'll go into Zoom. I'll call you based on the order that I have in my Zoom screen. First, I have Joyce Phillips.
She's the Olympia.
But I would like to call her, see if she has to provide testimony in support or at all.
I'm just here to help support the city council's position that the joint plan be adopted, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Brenda Salas.
Hi, yes, I'm Brenda Salas. I live at 2814 Alyssa Court Southeast, Olympia, Washington, 98501. And I just wanted to come today to comment about the zoning in Glenmore Village. And we, as residents here, we do not want it to be rezoned to the professional office residential multifamily. We would prefer option 1, which would keep the current zoning. We understand why the grocery store requirement probably is unnecessary now with Safeway and QFC being so close by. Maybe a smaller type of produce store with Spooners But yeah, we do want to keep the current zoning because we are concerned with the increase in traffic, the increase in tall buildings that are going to really not be part of this rural kind of suburban area. And also just keeping it a family oriented place. We would love for like some sort of park, that open space requirement to remain. And yeah, that is our comment. We prefer option one, keep the current zoning, but we understand the removal of a grocery store.
Thank you. Next, I have Lynette Artig. Next, I have Chris Lester.
No comment.
Thank you. And one last call, Lynette Artig. That will conclude public testimony, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And then I'll do one last call in the boardroom. Okay. Commissioners, is there any other discussion or any other follow-up questions for Leah at this time? Yes?
No, and we will have a work session at a later date.
We will. It's scheduled for August 24th.
Go ahead, Commissioner Metzer.
Well, I meant to ask you about Glenmore Village before I let you go. So we had two comments on that. So just so I'm clear, because I've heard about this one for a number of years, frankly, so I hadn't really given it a lot of attention just, this week or this month. But in terms of what's in the plan, I guess one of my questions is kind of a higher level, like why is a specific request like this in this plan? And then what exactly, it sounded like there were two, Mr. Schrader talked about the grocery store requirement, and then the second commenter talked about, well, you can remove that, but we don't want a rezone change. So there's two levels of changes. There's one to change it from one thing to another, and then there's an additional element of a grocery store requirement.
Yes, so originally, Mr. Schrader submitted an application for a rezone. And we worked with Mr. Schrader through the review of the Olympia Joint Plan, the city and the county both. And the city did not support the rezone because, one, it's a final plat that has already been described on a plat map, and it's a legally binding document. And it has certain requirements for some commercial uses, specific neighborhood serving commercial uses with some apartments added. So the intent of that zone was what got the city opposed to a rezone. They wanted a commercial area serving that neighborhood and also the increased density of the added apartments that are not yet built associated with that commercial development. And so in our discussions with Mr. Schrader, he said that the grocery store was the big obstacle to developing that parcel. And we said, how about we remove the requirement for a grocery store and just make it optional? And he said that would serve his purposes. And so at the time when we do the final action on this, you will have to decide between a rezone or a minor code amendment that just removes the requirement for a grocery store, leaving those other commercial type developments that would serve that neighborhood and other surrounding neighborhoods and some apartments.
So in terms of what Olympia City Council supported, it was essentially that, like what the last gal said.
Exactly.
Keep the zoning as it is, but remove the grocery store.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's a minor code amendment that it's almost doesn't affect anything else. Yeah.
Now my question on the other issue is just at a high level, what is in this plan that we would decide that would bear on Mr. Barnes' question about whether or not cars would drive through his neighborhood?
Thank you for that question. That, as I said, that Glenmore Village, Hague Avenue, Hague Drive, Hague Avenue.
Oh,
Hague
this
Drive.
relates to Glenmore Village as well?
It is
Okay.
in Glenmore Village. And that plat has been completed, as Mr. Schrader said, in 2006. So that is a done deal, and that cannot be changed. There will almost certainly be some type of commercial development on that parcel. And it will almost certainly impact all traffic all around that area. It was planned that way, it was developed that way, and it is most likely going to go forward that way. It's just been done for many years.
So it's a collateral element to this whole Glenmore Village item.
That's correct.
And why, like, are there other items like this, kind of very specific to, that are in there that maybe we didn't hear about today?
No, this is the only specific.
Just kind of stands alone
site-specific,
and-
yeah, it's the
okay.
only one, yeah.
And why is, I'm just trying to get a sense of why is that?
Well, any landowner can apply for a rezone, and Mr. Schrader or potentially someone before him applied for that. And then the board suggests to staff that we wrap it into the review of that joint plan. And so
Okay.
it is. it
Could have been
could've-
handled a different way, but this was a suggestion that we went with.
Yeah,
Okay.
seemingly more efficient. Yeah.
Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
If this goes into a development, say as proposed, and when I say as proposed, kind of what Olympia is recommending, won't there be traffic impact fees associated with that to address some of the traffic problems that Mr. Barnes brought up?
Oh, yes, all development has traffic impact fees.
So it'll be figured into the process, right?
Yeah, but it probably won't alleviate any traffic that's in that recently built neighborhood that's just to the south of this parcel. It's just part of that whole plan development that was approved.
But even that development must have contributed to that impact fee fund, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
There will most likely be, I'm not a traffic engineer and I don't make those decisions, but there will most certainly be some other exits and entrances or egress and ingress areas along Rich Road and/or Yelm Highway. So not all of the traffic will be funneled through that residential neighborhood.
When did you say our work session was on?
August 24th.
At what time on August 24th?
What's that?
At what time?
What time?
Oh, I didn't put that in my
Yeah.
notes.
I got it, I got you.
It's on our calendar.
I can give you this. Liz.
I do one piece of this
9:30,
project at a time.
9:30? Okay, that way I can announce it and the public knows when we will be discussing this a
Okay.
little bit more fully. Thank you, Leah. Okay, yeah, some of my follow-up questions have been asked, so I don't think I have any additional questions at this time in regards to this.
Want to close the hearing?
Yeah.
I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am?
I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Mensah?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Thank you.
Public
for your
hearing is
time.
closed. Thank you so much, Leah. And thank you all who have joined us. We will be having a follow-up on August 24th at 9:30, where we will be discussing the next steps on the Olympia joint plan. So, thank you. We're adjourned.